ladies and gentlemen, the President of the Republic of the Philippines and the Commander-in-Chief, Armed Forces of the Philippines, His Excellency Ferdinand Romualdez Marcos Jr.
Thank you for your kind introduction. Our Chief of Staff, Armed Forces of the Philippines, General Andres Centino, former President and now Congresswoman Gloria Macapagal Arroyo, AFP Chief of Staff General Centino, Philippine Army Commanding General Lieutenant General Romeo Browner, officers and enlisted personnel of the Philippine Air Force, led by Commanding General Lieutenant General Connor Anthony Canlas Sr., foreign military attaches in attendance, ladies and gentlemen. First of all, I want you to take your seats. First and foremost, I think it is only appropriate that my first acts as President is to join you at this momentous 75th year anniversary of our very own, the Philippine Air Force. I congratulate the entire team, the brave, courageous men and women, officers of the Philippine Air Force, as commanded by Lieutenant General Connor Anthony D. Canlas. Your loyalty and commitment and love of country are definitely worth emulation for not only those in the military, but of all citizens of the Philippines. As we fly and aim high for our country and people, given the resounding and historical mandate that this administration has received, it is a most opportune time. Today's event is the perfect time to recognize our nation's continued enhancement in air strength over the years, the air capability that we have used and continue to employ in our national effort towards nationhood. The ongoing defense modernization effort is in coordination with the basic prerequisites that would complement this administration's vision for a stronger, bigger, and effective Air Force, capable of defending and maintaining our sovereign state and of assisting our people in times of dire consequences and today's reality that this dictates. A more modern aerial and surveillance capability is all the more felt given the territorial disputes that we in the Philippines are involved in. This enhanced capability is also proven to be very critical in the Philippine military's efforts to protect the nation from local communist insurgents and the extremist groups in the South. As our country is defined by more than 7,000 islands, several of which are located in active volcanic zones or are in the pathway of some of the strongest typhoons ever recorded in history, natural disasters are certainties we all expect now to happen. Transport aircraft, helicopters, and the like are important facilities that only the Philippine Air Force can suitably and sufficiently provide, especially during humanitarian assistance and disaster relief operations. All these are just some of the most fundamental and significant functions that we have come to expect from our Air Force. At this point, it is but proper that we honor, acknowledge, and appreciate the Philippine Air Force's outstanding personnel and units, for today is their day, and deservingly so. Congratulations to all the awardees. All of you are worth our emulation, our respect, our admiration. You are what makes this 75th year even more meaningful and essential than it already is. Thank you all to the officers and men and women of the Philippine Air Force. Mabuhay po kayong lahat. And I thank you once again to be part of this 75th celebration of the establishment of the Philippine Air Force. Magandang hapon na po sa inyong lahat. Marami pong salamat.
Thank you, sir, for that very inspiring message. Please be seated.
We shall now proceed to the launching of the PAF Flight Plan 2040 and PAF Integrated Surface Strike Operation Handbook.
At this point, may we request everyone to please focus your attention on the screen in front for a short AVP. Firstly, the PAF Flight Plan 2040, to be followed by the Integrated Surface Strike Operation Handbook.
The Philippine Air Force has embarked on a long-term strategic transformation plan through the Flight Plan 2028 as we aim to pursue genuine reforms towards attaining our vision of becoming a more capable and credible organization, responsive to national security and development.
As we close out our first waypoint, our breakthrough results are seen by the many platforms and capabilities we were able to acquire recently. Yet, we look into a future faced with new challenges and an increasingly complex operating environment, which calls for a future-ready strategy for the PAF.
As such, we laid the foundations for our strategic directions until 2040 and decided that we will transition from a resource-constrained, capacity-driven organization to a capability-driven Air Force that is operationally agile and responsive, putting emphasis on research and development, capability development innovation, operational excellence, knowledge management, and stakeholder engagement as our future areas of excellence, as we continue to defend the Philippines' air, surface, cyberspace, and space domains.
We will continue our transformation with Flight Plan 2040, with a renewed vision to become a credible and agile Air Force, adaptable to modern warfare and responsive to national and regional security and development.
Our new flight plan will tackle, among other things, advanced integration of our air defense systems, advanced use of our C4I, ISR, and cybersecurity systems, and a more in-depth look into system integration to joint operations.
We will develop smart and secured strategic bases, strengthen our logistics management systems, and enhance our human resource capabilities' technical adeptness for multi-domain operations.
With our breakthrough goal for 2028, the PAF will focus on being a capability-driven organization, adept for integrated multi-domain operations by 2034.
Through the strengthened capabilities from years prior, we aim to become a credible Air Force for national and regional stability by 2040. This is our Flight Plan 2040.
As the Philippine Air Force continues its flight towards modernization, it transforms and evolves into a force that is well prepared to respond to any threats and challenges. At present, the PAF has 6 core systems, where every system caters to the requirements of various operations of the AFP. One of these is the Surface Strike System, which caters to the air strike capabilities to find, fix, and destroy surface targets. Guidelines must be established to successfully accomplish the mission, which resulted in the birth of the Integrated Surface Strike Operations Handbook in order to conduct its core defense mission as part of a joint, interagency, or multinational force or independently in support of national security objectives. This handbook contains the PAF Surface Strike System tactics, techniques, and procedures that are designed for the training and employment of different PAF air assets in the Surface Strike System operations, following the concept of the PAF Integrated Air Operations concept. The success of surface strike operations highlights the following capabilities. During surveillance and intelligence, our ISR platforms and forward air controllers systematically observe air, surfaces, places, persons, or things by visual, photographic, and other means. It is used to evaluate the surrounding friendlies and enemies in order to have proper planning, which leads to successful execution. During command and control, the exercise of authority and direction by a properly designated commander over assigned forces in the accomplishment of the mission. And during employment, PAF aircraft are employed along with their strike capabilities to destroy surface targets. The PAF has indeed proven its worth in providing the advantages of air power in achieving victory in the battlefield. And this is the evidence of the unwavering and tireless efforts and commitment of the men and women of the Philippine Air Force to excellence and professionalism.
We shall now proceed to the unveiling ceremony of the PAF Flight Plan 2040 and the Integrated Surface Strike Operation Handbook.
May we request our guest of honor, the Commander-in-Chief, Armed Forces of the Philippines, President Ferdinand Romualdez Marcos Jr., and Lieutenant General Connor Anthony D. Canlas Sr. for the unveiling.
Mr. President, at the count of 3. 1, 2, 3. Unveil, sirs. The Philippine Air Force has embarked on a strategy refresh last year and has laid the foundations for its strategic directions until 2040, with a renewed vision to become a credible and agile Air Force, adaptable to modern warfare and responsive to national and regional security and development.
On the other hand, the Integrated Surface Strike Operations Handbook is intended for the utilization of surface strike missions. Thank you, sirs. You may now be seated.